welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're doing well. Welcome to another video and welcome back to a Why Choose recommendation video. If you guys have been following my channel for a little while, you will know how much of a big fan I am of Why Choose romances. I don't know what it is about them, but they suck me in every single time. And I feel like this is the perfect time for me to sit down and talk about all of the Why Choose romances that I would recommend. I definitely have read a fair few of them, and I have ones that I have really loved and ones that I have not liked as much, and I definitely feel like there is a good list here that I can use to cater to those who have just started out their Why Choose romance journey and those who have been here for a little while and are looking for something new and fun to pick up. I'm very excited to gush all about them, so without further ado, let's talk about all of the Why Choose romances that I would recommend. So I'm going to start with the books that I own, and then we'll move into the ones that I don't, just so that I can get these out of the way and focus on just putting pictures up on the screen. The first three that I have, I feel like it would be remiss if I didn't start with them, because this is where I started my Why Choose romance journey, and that is none other than Miss Tate James. I have talked about her quite a bit in, I feel like, in almost every video she gets mentioned, because I do love her and her writing so freaking much. But I feel like this is also a really easy palette cleanser and a really easy way to dip your toes into Why Choose, especially if you're looking for books that have a little bit more plot to them and they're not just full of spicy sexy times. If you do like dark romances, please make sure to check the triggers for these, but it also does give you something else to look forward to rather than just multiple sexy never sexy. Don't get me wrong, these are spicy, but they also have a good balance of plot. So I'm going to start off with the Madison Kate series. This is the first book written in this world. This follows Madison Kate, who at the beginning of the story goes to a fight night where things kind of go off the rails. People are being shot and killed on sight, and she is running for her life. She ends up being saved by these three men who subsequently end up putting her in the line of fire, and she gets picked up by the police and accused of being part of what they called the riot night. She goes to Cambodia for a year to kind of cool off, and when she comes back, she's hell-bent on revenge, only to find out that when she goes home, she is living with these three men that she is convinced set her up and wants to get revenge. So it is a hate to love, enemies to lovers romance with some definite cinnamon roll characters in there, but it's also a mafia style romance. All of the men in this story do have ties to the mafia in some way or another, and it definitely changes as the plot continues. There's also a element of romantic suspense in here because there is kind of like a stalker situation going on, so if you like that element in your books, I think you'll definitely love this series. This is not her best work in this world, but it's definitely a great place to start and an easy place to dip your toes into Why Choose. My favorite series in this world, and that is the Hades series. This one follows Hades and her three men that she meets under interesting circumstances. One of them is a friends to lovers romance. However, she does also have an age gap romance, as well as actually two age gaps, one younger and one older, and a more like kind of taboo relationship. All of them are very different. You also have kind of a grumpy sunshine thing going on in here, and it is very dark. This is definitely the darkest one that I think she's written in regards to things that happen to the main character, not things that the main character is doing to others. But the fourth book is very dark, so make sure you check your triggers for all of Tate James' works, but especially the series. It gets very dark, but this is very sweet and wholesome at the center of it. The romances are extremely phenomenal, but I should have warned that if you do decide to jump into any of Tate James' works, she loves a good cliffhanger, so be prepared for that. Then we have the Boys of Belrose series. This one follows Billy, who is down on her luck at the beginning of the novel, and she just got kicked out of her apartment because she wasn't able to make rent, and she meets a woman on the street that offers her a waitressing job, and she's in a bind, so she takes it. However, at the end of the night, shots are fired, people are killed, and she ends up running into a man from her past who she knows will turn her into his father and get her killed, so she ends up on the run. And as she runs away for her life, she ends up in the arms of Rhett, who is part of a very big band, and he offers her safety, only to find out that this safety comes with strings because this band is Belrose, a band named after Billy because the lead singer is her ex-boyfriend. Jace was slighted by Billy in the past and has a very tumultuous relationship with her and ended up building his career on his hate for Billy. But she has nowhere else to go, and Rhett is not willing to let her fall back into danger, so she ends up going on tour with these men and end up in a Why Choose romance with all of them. There is definitely a hate to love bully aspect to this, but also some really wonderful cinnamon roll characters that want nothing but the best for Billy. I really like this series. It's not my favorite by Tate James, but if you are looking for a fun, fast-paced, exciting time. It's a good rockstar romance and I highly recommend it. The last book that I own is Pucking Around by Emily Rath. This one has a novella called That One Night that you should read before you jump into this series. The novella is the start of a relationship between Rachel, the main female character, and one of her male relationships. They meet in Seattle one night, have a very instant attraction, and have a one-night stand, but at the end of the night, she walks away with no knowledge of who they are. At the beginning of the full-length novel, however, she gets a new job, and she ends up becoming the sports medicine doctor for a hockey team called the Jacksonville Rays. And the man that she met in Seattle happens to be one of the defensemen on the team. It is also a why choose romance between the defenseman, the goalie, and the team's equipment manager. This is a very long book, so brace yourself for that. There is no audiobook, so if you're willing to read it physically, good luck. The audiobook, however, is coming relatively soon, so if you're an audiobook girly, that is definitely an option very, very soon. But this is a very slow-paced, deeply character-driven book with a little bit of plot here and there, but you're mostly just following Rachel as she builds relationships with these three men in different ways. There's also some exploration of sexuality in this book between two of the male leads, and I just really love that as well. So if you're looking for a very sweet and wholesome romance that allows for a lot of character development, I think that you'll really enjoy this one. And it is very heavy on the sports aspect as well, so I love that. All right, now we're moving into the ones that I don't own but still would recommend. That being said, the next two series I'm going to recommend I didn't absolutely fall head over heels for, but I do think that they are great starting points if you're looking for a place to start with why choose romance. The first one I'm going to talk about is a little bit more palatable, and that one is Lola and the Millionaires by Catherine Moon. This is an Omegaverse romance that follows Lola. At the beginning of the story, she ends up in a very salacious experience with a man in a bar bathroom, but as they are having a sexual experience together, she realizes that he is part of a pack, and she has very big fear and PTSD around packs, alphas, and omegas. So she runs away. She ends up starting a new job at a design company, only to find out that the man that she had met in that bar, his alphas as well as him work at this company. And it is a relationship between the alphas and the omega of this pack, and basically her working through her trauma that comes around being with alphas. I didn't hate this book by any means, but I feel like it is definitely a lot more spice than it is plot. The plot definitely comes in the latter half of the book, but I just didn't feel like it was really enough to build the story around. That being said, I do think that it is a great start to why choose if you're looking to get comfortable with people exploring multiple relationships. I think the relationships were the strongest point of this book. I just don't know if you're going in for plot, if this is going to be the one for you. And then my thoughts feel pretty much the same about her other book, which is Lady of Brooksgrave Manor. This one is a monster romance, very, very sex positive. It is set in, I think, the Victorian era. I could be wrong about that, but it follows a woman who gets an offer to work at this manor where they are basically tasked with building a harem of men to pleasure. It is a house built on that, and she ends up in a relationship with a gargoyle, a stone gargoyle, an invisible man, a sphinx, and a vampire. So it is a lot of fun. It is very, very heavy on the spice, very sex positive, and very interesting to watch the dynamics of these relationships play out. But again, the plot didn't come in until much later in the story. That definitely felt very rushed and kind of dropped into the story. So if you are looking for something with a lot more of the sex at the forefront, then this is definitely the why choose romance for you. But if you're looking for more plot, I would maybe say skip this and come back to it when you're ready for just sex. Up next, I want to talk about the Rock Hard Beautiful series. Don't ask me what this main character's name is because I've read this so long ago, I don't remember. But what I do know is the female main character is I guess she's going somewhere. I don't remember where she's going, but she ends up in the parking lot at a concert, and her car gets broken into and all of her stuff is scattered around. She ends up running into one of the members of a band who takes her in and allows her to go on tour with them. She is thought of as lesser, as a groupie, as somebody that doesn't deserve to be there, but ends up falling for every man on tour. It definitely has a lot more than that. I didn't really explain it that well, but if you are looking for a good rockstar romance, I think this is definitely the one for you. And I also feel like if you have read the Boys About Us series and you're looking for something similar, this definitely fits the bill, except for it's less mafia focused, it's less dark. It's just a fun, fast-paced 3-book Why Choose romance that I had a lot of fun with. It was actually my very first rockstar romance that I ever read, and I would still highly recommend it, even though I don't remember all of the plot. Then we're going to talk about our first Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti Why Choose romance, and that is the Harlequin series. This one follows Rogue, who has a very tumultuous past with this city where the Harlequin crew resides, but she is in a relationship with a man named Sean who thinks that she heard something that she was not supposed to and tries to kill her. He essentially chokes her to death and buries her, only for her to wake up in her grave alive and crawls herself back out and heads to this city where she knows the Harlequin boys reside, and she is going to try to go there to get revenge on the people that were from her past. These 4 boys who she had a really incredible relationship with in her past, but was slighted by them and basically left for dead. And she wants to gain their secrets, steal from them, and leave them high and dry. But when she ends up there, she needs a little bit more help than she lets on, and she ends up in a relationship with these 4 best friends who have a very tumultuous relationship with each other. It was a very fun series. I think it was a little bit too long, but if you are looking for a good mafia-style Why Choose romance with 5 books, very long time for you to fall in love with these characters, I would definitely recommend it. You definitely learn to love each and every character for their own quirks and personalities, and I really enjoyed that. I feel like every character got as much character development as the other, and it was very well plotted out and developed. I just think that it could have been maybe 1 book shorter. Up next, let's talk about the Bonds That Tie series by J. Bree. This is also an Omegaverse book, if I'm not mistaken. This one follows a girl who is running away from her pack because she doesn't want to put them in harm's way. She knows something about the world that they live in that she shouldn't know, and she knows that if she ends up being a part of this pack, she will only put them in danger. However, they don't know that, so they think that she has rejected the bond and doesn't want anything to do with them. However, the alphas that she ends up with are definitely very domineering and want what they want, so they end up taking her against her will to be a part of their pack and follow the rules the way that this supernatural society is ran, and in that time they end up creating a relationship and falling in love. I have not finished the series. I've only read up to book 4, if I'm not mistaken, but from what I can remember of the series and what I read, I really enjoyed it. It's definitely fast-paced, definitely action-packed. There is a lot of stuff to explore in this supernatural world, and I think the Omegaverse is definitely something that is easy to understand and definitely a great place to dip your toe in if you are looking for a good Omegaverse world that offers a lot of exploration of the supernatural abilities. Then we have the Ruthless Boys of Zodiac, the second Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti series of today's video. This one actually is set in the same world as the Zodiac Academy series, but this one follows a different school, and you follow a vampire. She is the main female lead of this story, and she is going to this school to find out the people that killed her brother and get revenge on them. They call themselves the Kings of this school, and she knows that someone named King killed her brother, but she doesn't know who. So she is forced to get close to them and learn a little bit more about each of the 4 men, and in that time she creates a relationship with them. However, almost every single one of these men are mortal enemies and don't want anything to do with each other, including 2 that are literal mortal enemies. And it is a Why Choose romance between the 5 of them, including the female character. So it was a very interesting series. Again, I have not finished the last book because the audiobook just recently came out, but from what I can surmise from the series, I think that it is very interesting. And if you liked the ZA series, I think that you will definitely like the series. It's the same kind of writing and pacing. It's very fast-paced, it's very fun, with a mix of humor and lots of sexy times, so prepare yourself for that. But it's also very angsty, so if you don't like angsty reads, this is one that is not going to be for you. Then I want to talk about Scream for Us, as well as the sequel Melt for Us by Molly Doyle. These are 2 novellas that are Why Choose. There is a full-length novel that is a part of the series as well, but I just have not read those ones. And these ones are a masked men Why Choose romance. I don't want to talk about it too much because they are novellas, but they are very, very unhinged. So be prepared for that. These are very dark. Check the triggers. This is probably one of the most unhinged book I have read in a long, long time. So be prepared for that. But if you are looking for a good holiday novella, this one's definitely a good choice. Second to last, I want to talk about Lilac by B.B. Reed. This one follows Braxton, who gets asked to become the lead guitarist on a very well-known band called Bound. The lead guitarist that was previously a part of this band has passed away due to some very sad circumstances, and she is forced to join this band with very little want or desire from the rest of the bandmates and go on tour in order to fulfill their contract. The other bandmates want nothing to do with her. They don't want her on tour. They don't want her to be a part of this band. That they have quite a close relationship with each other, but she signed a contract, she is willing to do it, and she needs the money, so she goes on tour, and it is a Why Choose rockstar romance between the guitarist and all of the bandmates. I really enjoyed this one. It is a standalone, and it is quite long, but I still really enjoyed the experience of watching these characters fall for each other. It is definitely a bully romance. There is some hate-to-love aspects to this as well, but it was so fun, and honestly, just a really, really good time. The sex in this was absolutely phenomenal, and the character development was really well done. So if you are looking for a standalone Why Choose, this is definitely a great one. And the last Why Choose series that I want to talk about is the Crooked Paradise series by Eva Chance and Harlequin. To be honest, I cannot remember the main female character's name, but this one follows a girl who is currently in a marriage of convenience with a man that is there to kind of like help broker peace between two families, but her fiance has other plans, and on the day of her I believe it's her rehearsal dinner, he slaughters her entire family, and she escapes and is on the run. So she decides to go to the mafia leader that kind of runs this town called Paradise Bend, and it is a Why Choose romance between the mafia leader and his best friends. It is definitely dark. This one very much reminds me of the Madison Kate series, so if you like that one, I think that you will very much like this one. It also gives the Harlequin crew series vibes as well, so it's definitely very dark, very mafia based, lots of blood, lots of killing, lots of gore, but you also have some really wonderful cinnamon roll characters as well as a really good plot. So if you are looking for a Why Choose with really good plot and a nice balance between the relationship aspect as well as the plot aspect, this is another really, really great one. All right, that is it. That is all of the Why Choose romances that I wanted to recommend today. Let me know down below if you've read any of the ones I talked about, and as well as recommend any Why Choose romances that I maybe haven't read. I would love to get any more recommendations. I am a huge Why Choose lover, so I'm always looking for good ones to delve into. If you made it to the end of this video and you don't know what else to comment, leave the multiple hearts emoji. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and of course leave any comments, questions, and suggestions in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Baby, turn it down like a sweet and ready. Go slow, keep it nice and steady. Know that you